Lovely to meet you, sir.
And this is Sir Pentious and Angel Dust.
Your Majesty!
Hey, you short king.
So we're going to be going through a little bit of Lucifer, Lucifer's journey, and his depression and how it's expressed itself, especially in his relationship with Charlie. And there we go. I'm just going to give you a little bit of like my Lucifer, which I love.
Now, presenting the magic testicle rubber duck. That spits fire. Oh God, who am I kidding? This sucks.
He wanted to enact all these changes between heaven and hell, and that failure was devastating. So when we've gone through a failure, we often supplant that with doing other things because we're so worried about failing. So I'm worried about failing, so I don't study for my test, but instead I'm going to reorganize my office. And so for him, he's put all of this emphasis in something that he feels like he could manage and be successful at, which for him is rubber duckies. They're all over his office. They're everywhere. So he spent a lot of time in that. But it's interesting because here he is shooting the duck and you see this picture of this time when he was happy with Lilith and his little girl Charlie. And it's that thing that sometimes we're missing the main thing that really will make him happy. And it's still gonna be there. We carry all of our worries and stresses like a backpack and they kind of eat at us. And so often we're avoiding things by playing a video game or surfing the internet when we actually should be studying or doing our taxes or doing that call that we really don't want to do because we worry that things may not end the way that we hope to.
They wish to share the magic of free will with humanity, offering the fruit of knowledge to Adam's new bride, Eve, as punishment for their reckless act. Heaven cast Lucifer and his love into the dark pit he had created.
For Lucifer, because he's already gone through this hardship of a large failure that really affected his feelings of self, he's avoiding that. And unfortunately, avoidancy just increases anxiety. And you see him look at his family and you can tell that sadness. If you don't know if you're feeling upset or anxious or sad and you're not sure why, go through all the different aspects of your life. Because when you hit on the one that's actually the link to why you feel anxious or sad or angry, you'll just feel it. It'll just be like that, no, that's it. That's the thing that's actually bothering me. And that's one of the first things that you can use as a tool to be able to understand what are all the links to your anxiety or your depression or your anger.
Daughter calling? Oh, hello, Charlie. Hey, Char, no.
And we do that a lot also. We replay scenarios in our head that we can end up with like these cycling thoughts of we want to go through every single scenario so we do the right thing. That's often another sign of social anxiety, that fear of judgment when we're replaying scenarios all the time. But for him, this is a strong link that it's Charlie that he doesn't want to disappoint. And so much so that he's kind of become a recluse. He's left himself in a spot and avoided all the people around us. That's common with depression. And you would say that, you know what, they should reach out to people and talk to people. But for a lot of people, they feel so bad and it's exhausting to be around other people and to constantly feel like we're not living up to what the expectations might be. And so he's wanting to make the best impression, but then that stress level makes our brain not really be thinking during that period of time. And often, even though we've replayed something and we think that we have it all perfectly, then when we actually do it and it comes out, it just comes out as mess anyways because we're so stressed about it. Sometimes you want to just take a breath, lead with the moment, and know that people don't really care everything you say. They don't even pay attention to it. The only thing that people actually care about is how you make them feel. So if you make them feel good, even if their words are all messed up, it doesn't really matter.
Oh, this is the first time she's called you in years. This has to be perfect. Hey!
Hi, Dad.
I don't think we're gonna be able to play that, but I think that that's just brilliantly funny because, like, you know that when he replays this in his head later, he's gonna be like, "Oh, that was the worst thing to say to your daughter." You try to be cool, so, but it doesn't end up the way that you had hoped for, and you're like, you spent all this time worrying about something, and it doesn't really matter in the end, anyways.
I've just been really busy, with important things.
Well, I'm actually running a hotel to rehabilitate sinners. Maybe you saw our commercial.
Sadly, I missed it. I haven't been watching much TV lately.
And that's also something really sad when we're dealing with someone that's going through mental illness. Often they're missing out on other people's life experiences. And You might think that because Charlie is a young adult now, she doesn't need her dad. And I think that that's one of those things that we believe that are completely untrue. No matter what age you are, you still want that affirmation often from your parents or your parental figures in your life, someone to be proud of you. And even people that are in their 70s, 80s, 90s that I see, they still want that affirmation, that feeling that people validate us, understand us, and are part of our journey, someone to be proud of us. So you are never too old to not need that parental figure to be able to share in your journey with you. And it's just so sad that he's missed out. He's spent so much time cycling and creating like a gazillion rubber ducks. I don't know why rubber ducks. Let me know in the comments below that he's missed out on his daughter's life, and you can't go back to that. So what you want to do if you are going back into someone's life is just to spend the time and to learn about things and to enjoy it. And hopefully if the other person is also open to that, you can repair and be able to be there. It might be in a different way then, because you can't go in and start to reparent them. They've already gone through that. But to be able to share their journey with as much as they wish to share. Try not to be too pushy about that. You want to let the other person also lead the way.
Listen, Dad, I've got kind of a big ask.
Yeah, of course. Anything in my power is yours for the asking. You just name it.
I need to speak to heaven.
Oh, no.
And you can see that that causes him a certain amount of anxiety. He's gone through a trauma dealing with heaven. And often when we've gone through a really strong hardship or a difficult situation or something that's traumatized us, even hearing the words to that can cause us an anxiety reaction. Sometimes also it might be the smell of the area or the look of the area or the people that were there. We're very associative. So even if we've gone through a difficult experience, even a location that's close to that, anything that reminds us of that, a song, can bring us back to that trauma time.
No. No, Charlie, no.
And you can see that strong reaction. He planned to say yes to no matter what she needs because rarely does she ever ask. And so he wants to be there for her. But immediately that limbic reaction is just no. Like he doesn't even think about it. He can't go there and doesn't even want to know about it.
This is really important to me. I need you. Come see what I'm trying to do.
You're inviting me over? Absolutely! Oh, I'll be there in an hour.
And I was so worried. I was so worried that he might say no. When, especially if there's been an estranged relationship and they start to invite you in, yes, you have to be able to be there no matter what. And a lot of people are like, but I have work, I have a meeting. You know what? You want to think back. Are you really going to regret not going to that meeting? Or for, in Lucifer's case, staying inside of his little cave where he has sheltered himself and made what he thinks is a safe space, but really it's his own little dungeon that he's created. He's created his own hell of all of the things that he's remembered and wants. And so even though he feels safe, it's his own little torture. She's invited him out of that to join a little bit in her world. In 10 years, am I going to regret not doing this? Would I regret missing a meeting? Or would I regret not going in to show up to see my daughter? And so I'm happy that he understood how important this was, and you can feel the excitement from him. So good job, Lucifer.
My daughter wants to see me. Take that, depression.
And his take that depression, it starts off really, really happy, but then you can see that it's still there. It's still something that is plaguing him. You don't really believe when he says it. It's still a large part of what he's dealing with. But I like that he's able to say it. It might not be that he's consciously that aware of it, but somewhere he is aware that he's dealing with that, which is the first step. You can't actually fix something if you are not sure that you're dealing with it.
It's showtime!
Charlie!
Hey, Dad.
Oh, it's so good to see you.
It's good to see you too, Dad.
Two things about this. One is he kind of like swamps her. You don't want to do that. You want to let them come to you. You don't want to be overbearing. But you see like Alistair's little tiny eye twitch? He is not so sure about having someone else, a stronger figure than him inside of the hotel, a place where he's kind of been able to control. And you can look at my Alistair video if you want to go a little bit more into Alistair and his journey. There's a radio filterless version for your ears if you need it, just letting you know. You'll know what I mean if you've seen the video.
And we've almost been able to find all of Angel's drug stashes.
Well, that certainly is something.
So, what do you think?
About what?
The hotel.
Oh, yes.
He's so busy thinking about other things that he's not paying attention to what she's saying. We often do that when we are stressed, when we're worried about something, or when we're revisiting parts of our life that have caused us difficulty. And I think that for Lucifer, I think that that's one of the main things. Him dealing with his daughter and this location causes him a certain amount of anxiety. And so because of that, he's not really paying attention to what she's doing. We live inside our head often talking about negative things, the things that we should have done, difficulties that we've gone through. We wish that we had done something else. But right now in this moment, his job is to be a father. And so he should be paying attention to what Charlie is saying. But more importantly, he should be paying attention to what does Charlie need from me? Why is she saying this? And to get out of his head. Now, it's hard to do. You actually have to practice that. When you're really stressed, you need to keep on going back to what are they saying to me and why are they saying this? She wants what? Affirmation, to be noticed, and for him to be proud of her and to be able to help. But really the main thing is she wants him to be proud of her journey. There's something so innate to us to have someone else be able to recognize and be proud of what we're doing. And for her, she also wants him to believe in her goal, to be a part of that.
Oh, yes. It does look much better now. But I'm thinking this railing needs work. One good push, and you just go right over the edge. Whoopee! Bye-bye.
Like he hasn't heard anything that she said. That causes other people a huge amount of frustration. And for Charlie, he hasn't been there for a whole bunch of different parts of her life that she has probably needed him for. And so this might be one more frustration. You can see for a lot of people that might be, you know what, I shouldn't have done this. And they won't ask a second time. And that's why that time when someone does something that they don't usually do, it's really important, if we can, to be able to be there, but be actually present. To be there physically doesn't really matter. You want to be actually present, paying attention to what they're saying and what they need. And then reading their reaction to see whether you've done that or not. If you've given them what they're hoping for, they might pull in, they might smile more, they might open themselves up. But you can see Charlie's reaction. She actually becomes more stiff and pulls back like, what are you talking about? This is nothing to do with what I need. That if you're maybe too much in your head or too anxious, to be able to read from the other person, oh, I must have missed something. And then you can actually address it. I'm sorry, I think that I might have missed what you were hoping for. What do you need from me? I'm sorry.
What? No, the plan, Dad. When do you think about using the hotel to help sinners?
And I think also, like, he might have gone back to that old habit of I'm the dad, you have to listen to me. Many years have passed where he's only been somewhat in her life. You can't swoop back in and expect that things will go back to the way that they were. You want to be able to recognize someone for their new traits, their change, and their growth. A lot of adults have huge frustrations when their parents still treat them like children, or they go through those old habits that they used to have that they might have changed and not being recognized for it.
All right. I mean, look, I love that you want to see the best in people, but these sinners, you know, they're just the worst. I don't know how much you can realistically expect from them. And heaven is not exactly as carefree as you might think.
What Charlie was hoping for is that he's going to come in and he's going to help and support her and listen to her and pay attention. And for Lucifer, he's now going to go into his own story and his journey. He's been living his journey and all of the different traumas in his head for so long that he wants to share that. But in this case, his job is to be a dad, to be able to help out and support her. And you do not want to trauma dump on your children. It's not her job to be his therapist. And no matter what, even when your children are adults, you still should not be using them as your friend to be able to unload all of your difficulties. That is not a healthy situation. You can have a therapist or your own actual friends to be able to do that.
What I tell you, Charlie, sinners are violent psychopaths, hell-bent on causing as much pain and destruction as they can. There's really no point in trying.
Dad, stop!
Often when we're dealing with depression, there's many different causes to depression. But I think that for Lucifer, it's one, that fear of failure. You can see that he's quite the perfectionist when he went through the gazillion different types of ducks. He cares about things when he cares about it really, really deeply. And sometimes though, because we care so much, that failure, when we feel like we haven't lived up to what our expectations were, it can be soul crushing. Oh, quite literally. He's now outside playing the justifications he has inside of his head and all of that negative self-talk. The more that you do something, the better you get at it. The more that you say mean things to yourself inside of your head, the stronger those things become. You're practicing them. And so he's run through these negative statements, and because of that, he's actually shedding it now out onto Charlie. When the world inside feels really dark to you, it's hard not to have that leak out. He's using this as his own justification of why, I've been so badly hurt by this, don't bother, I've already been through this journey. And so we often also do that to try to protect others from hurts that we've gone through. But it's her journey, even to make mistakes. And in this case, sometimes you want to parent if you think that there's something really horrible going to happen. But if not, you want to be there to be able to support people in their journey, even if you don't agree with it. Parenting is one of the hardest jobs that we're not taught how to do.
He's defending this hotel. It may be a bit more sadistic than I'd hoped, but he's doing it for me. How come he can have faith in me, but my own father can't?
Ooh, drama.
And at least there, she's saying what exactly she needs. Charlie does a really great job at being able to share her emotion. He felt it. And I think that the reason that he feels it so much is probably because his own dad didn't have faith in his dreams. Yes, God. But still, it's that parental figure. And because of that, that's also his wound. And so it kind of woke him up in that moment. He got, oh, wait a second. I don't want to hurt her the way that I've been hurt.
Dad, help me.
I can't.
Why can't you?
Charlie! You don't understand. Heaven never listens. They didn't listen to me. They won't listen to you.
And so you see that strong reaction, how hurt, how crushed that he's been. I think that a lot of people come down kind of harsh on Lucifer, that he wasn't there for a lot of her time growing up. But when we're dealing with mental illness, it can be even the most simple of things that other people don't understand, can be exceptionally difficult to be able to get through. Even just getting out of bed, brushing your teeth can seem like a task too great to be able to handle. That's the thing with depression, is that it takes away the things from your life. It makes you lose your motivation, lose your discipline, changes the way that you see yourself. You're actually physically altering your brain. Depression biologically actually was beneficial for us. It allowed us to shut down and hibernate during the most difficult points in time, which sometimes we needed in order to survive hardship. But when times are good, it can be devastating, not just to the person dealing with depression, but to everyone around them, because it changes who you are. A lot of people believe that depression is sadness, but it isn't always the case. Depression can take on many different forms. For many people, it's more that they don't feel anything at all. They have no motivation. The things that used to bring them joy no longer do. And the more that they cut out the world, the more they live inside of their inner world that is often very negative, very harsh, and quite painful.
You don't know that!
I do. We didn't know that when my dreams were too hard to defend.
For a lot of times when we've gone through something that's really painful, we want to protect our children from the same pain. But because of that, sometimes we can become overprotective or even sheltering, trying to cut them out from the world. But because of that, they're not learning the skills that they might need to learn to be able to survive in the world. We want to not just protect them and hold them in, even though they'll be safe. We want to allow them to grow. And in order to make those mistakes so that they learn the tools that they need to be able to not just survive, but to thrive in the world that is around them. For Charlie, she needs her dad to believe in her. That's what she wants. That's what she's going to do no matter what, with him or without.
When I was young, I didn't really know you at all. I always felt so small. I heard your stories and I was enthralled.
And for Charlie, she still sees him as that person that she looks up to. A lot of times when we are children, we look to our parental figures as gods, in this case, kind of literally, and that they're larger than life, and we want them to be proud of us, so we often impart the things that are their dreams. We want to make sure, though, that when we're doing something, it's also ours, and when we're parenting, we want to make sure that our children know that they have to live their own dreams for them. They don't need to relive our lives for us. And parents can sometimes do that, want to have our children to fix and complete our dreams for us, and that's not their job.
Tales about your lofty dreams, It's the view I had of you. Show me dreams can be worth fighting for.
I wonder a little bit about that scene because you can see the sadness come, and I wonder if that's because he was already going through that depression, that difficulty perhaps between him and Lilith. But I wonder if that's the thing, is that we see a little bit of that mask being withdrawn. Often when we're depressed and we're more of a caretaker, which you can tell that Lucifer is that caretaker, he wants to be able to help people, and he feels like he's failed that, which then makes him withdraw even more because we feel that people will be better off without us, that we're often faking being happy when we're in front of other people, which is exhausting and uses up a lot of energy to try to hide all of our pain because we don't want to impart it to others and make other people feel bad around us. But because of that, we're wearing a mask. And maybe also a little bit of the difficulty between him and Lilith is showing through.
'Cause in the end, you are part of who I am.
Sorry, it's so beautiful. I really love that that they're kind of open to be able to make a new relationship, whatever that might be, and that he's able to kind of hear her through the song, which I think is really kind of beautiful. I can't play most of it because I'm going to be copyright stricken, so sorry about that. But I think that it's a really sweet way that we kind of can see the journey of him starting to listen to her, and you can see that his anxiety is down as well. So he's able to hear it now.
I'll support your dream, whatever lies in store.
And I think that people will be like, yeah, there's probably many other things that she could ask for. But having a supportive figure that is there no matter what is such a wonderful feeling. And I think it's a huge gift. And I think that's a beautiful way to restart a relationship, to be able to find something that they're passionate about, that they care about, and go with them on their journey. So it might be watching someone play video games with them or going fishing because they love fishing. Sometimes that might be the starting point to build a new relationship. And what you want to do is you want to make sure not to be really critical or negative or bring other people down. Because remember, we want to hang out with people that make us feel better, feel good. And that doesn't mean that we always have to be fake. We want to be honest with that, but you want to remember, what are you giving to that relationship? And sometimes when we're parenting, especially young adults or adult children, we're often still trying to parent and change things. And now the relationship has changed. They need a supportive figure, someone that's there. And if they ask for advice, you can give it, but constantly pestering someone is not going to change behavior. They're just going to avoid you. So do you really want that? Children change from such a fast age. Like 2 years ago, they might have needed you for everything. And then in 2 years, they are young adults and they don't need you at all. And so that difference also can be really difficult to be able to grasp hold of and for you to be able to change and evolve that fast. And again, we're not taught how to do it. So good job, Lucifer.
More than anything.
Oh, that was sweet.
I love Serpentius. I want to do Serpentius. No one's asking for him, okay? Come on.
Okay, I can get you the meeting, but once you're in heaven, I won't be able to go with you. Will you be okay?
I'll be
And now you can see all of his fears. He wants to protect her and not have to go through that, and he's not going to be able to be there. That's really, really sweet.
I'll be fine.
That's my girl.
And that's what she needed. He's seeing it as he has to do everything and he has to be there, and he's not going to be able to protect her when we're letting someone that we've taken care of, this case not for a little while, but he still feels that obligation to be able to let them go and to be able to trust that they'll learn from their mistakes, and you've done a good enough job parenting them that they'll figure it out.
Good luck, kiddo.
And you can still see, though, those pieces of his sadness and the depression that he's going through coming through from that mask that he's carried on to be able to make her feel better and to be able to share that. So he did the best that he could with the tools that he did, and I think that he did actually really well because he left her with this feeling of hope and support, which is what she brought him there for. So.
Charlie!
First, that is the most satisfying punch ever. Yes, I'm going to be doing a video on Adam, the person that we all love to hate, or some people might love Adam. Anyways, he's getting his own video.
Sorry I wasn't here sooner.
Now, what I want to think, what I want to believe, that he was watching over her the entire time. Sorry, I'm gonna get emotional. I'm actually really, I need tissue. Where's my tissue? So my hope is that he was actually watching the entire time. It's like really bad to cry when you're wearing like makeup. That he was watching the entire time so that he could be there if she needed him, but if not, he was gonna let her do this on her own, which would be really amazing parenting. So that's my hope for it. And so he came there when she needed it, but he was gonna be able to let her do her own thing so that he didn't overtake her journey and her achievement from her. It would have been the perfect thing for him to do. Because if he came in and tried to be the hero, he'd be taking all that glory from Charlie. And that's what happens sometimes when we're doing that helicopter parenting, that we're making sure they're successful, but we're doing it so much that they don't feel that success inside of themselves. They're only successful because their parental figure, their supportive figure was there because of that. And sometimes what happens is that they don't feel that belief then inside of themselves, which they need to be able to grow and feel resilient, that they can get through things on their own. It's a very important parenting skill, even if they make a mistake, that they can pick up those pieces on their own to the level that they're capable of, from young all the way to adult.
Mess with my daughter, and now I am going to f you.
Well, this just got interesting.
It's just so funny because he looks so sure of himself, and then everyone else's reaction that they've read this completely wrong. Like when you've kind of come in and you're trying to be like super cool, and then you've done something completely ridiculous and you don't know. It's just so great.
Up, Dad.
Wait, what did I say?
I didn't even get it the first time I watched. Probably because I'm just way too naive.
So this is what you've been up to since Eden? Gotta say, you really let yourself go, buddy.
And now he's in his element, right? He's thriving. And that can often happen, especially when we're dealing with depression. Two things. One, exercise works exceptionally well. It takes time to be able to do it, but it will actually help build those parts of your brain back up in one of the fastest ways, as fast as medication can. And second thing is doing something that you're good at and you're going to get a whole bunch of affirmation for increases your production of dopamine, which is often lacking, and serotonin. And you can tell that for Lucifer, he's in the zone. He's just having fun. He's playing with Adam. He's enjoying it. And so he's getting a lot of those affirmations that he needs. And it also changes that thought of himself as a failure. Instead, he's being able to be the hero. Getting involved in activity that is simple, that is repetitive, that you can enjoy, that can cause a lot of nice affirmation. And if you're doing it with other positive people, you can double that effect.
You're the most hated being in all of creation. Well, your first wife didn't seem to hate what I had to offer. For the second.
And actually, in a battle, getting into someone else's head and getting them off of the game is exceptionally effective. We saw that in the battle between Adam and Alistair also. And here, Lucifer's using it to his advantage. I don't think that he actually needs to. Like, he doesn't have to. He's completely beating Adam in the fight. He's just doing it for his own pleasure because Adam tried to insult him.
I get you.
I love the look that she has to him. That look was the same look that she had when she was a child. And it's just so beautiful. He was there to be able to be there to support her when she needed it. Literally in this case.
Dad, look out!
Wait, what the
And I love that he allowed her to be able to fight Adam also on her own. I think that's beautiful, to be able to be literally supporting her, but also to allow her to shine and thrive. That's that really nice zone of parenting that I think Lucifer hit perfectly in this case, and literally in this case.
You come at me and my daughter? Don't forget, you're in my house.
And now though, that rage, right? Now he's gonna unleash all of hell on him. I know, I had to. But he's gonna like unleash hell upon him because of everything that he's been through. Adam is the placeholder, not just for hurting his daughter, but everything that's happened, and that can happen, and that can feel really good when we've gone through a lot of pain. But we wanna be able to moderate that, because sometimes when we are learning to live again, we can go a little bit too far. And again, we can kind of debate whether it's too far, because it is Adam.
Whoa, whoa, Dad. He's had enough.
All right. How's mercy taste, you little b****?
And he listened to her. I love that. I think that often when we're dealing with our adult children, that we often kind of dismiss them because they're our kids and we know better and we've lived longer and we do that entire thing. But we want to be able to make sure that we also give them their own accord. He's coming here to deal with her fight and it should be on her terms. And so I love that he listened to her and was able to hold back. Plus, it's just so much more insulting to Adam at the same time.
Why the frown? You're the first one to change this time. You can do this. Now I know it.
I love that he was now able to change her inner monologue. That's so important. And so he's modeling, which is a wonderful way that we can teach our kids by doing it ourselves. It's actually more effective than saying things. We often want to give words and state them, but by actually doing it from his own behaviors and showing that, she'll be able to mirror that same behavior much easier. And I think that it's also helpful for him to be able to change his own inner dialogue. And so he's doing a really good job in being able to show it. And also you can tell that this smile is so much more genuine from Lucifer. This has made an actual concrete change in his own feelings of how he sees himself. And that's also really important when we're dealing with depression. Do I think that it's over for him? No, it's something that you need to keep on working at. And when we're changing behavior and changing who we are, we'll have up days and down days. And so if you have a worse day after, don't feel like that means that the depression is back. That's part of the journey. You have to keep out at it. And some days will be easier and some days will be more difficult, but you want to be able to look at the things that work to make you feel better and continue to do it. First, those neurons do not fire very effectively. It does take time to help them stay activated, but if you keep at it, you can make concrete change. So that's a little bit of my thought on Lucifer and him dealing with his depression and all of the after effects. And as always, the ad-free and uncensored version of this video will be on Nebula. If you want to join Nebula, there'll be a link in the description below.